All right, Friday vlog. Camera tweak. I didn't do one this time. I just ran out of time. I shot in 30 frames last time, and I kind of liked it, so I'm doing that again. I forgot my water. Well, it's too late. Did I write? Just in my writer's room, so nothing outside of that, so nothing I can really talk about. But the writer's room's going good, so. Did I read? I did not. Because I am still dealing with clerical stuff with my film, so much of my week was dedicated to that. But I'm getting very good at it. I'm getting almost the very beginning level of Adobe Premiere Pro. So very good is not correct at all. What did I watch? Well, I watched all of Battlestar Galactica in the last 2 weeks and had about a 48-hour period of postpartum depression because of it. Such a good show. Holds up more than anything I've ever seen, I think. Just, it's hard. I mean, it's hard to describe how fundamentally good of a show it is, I guess. So if you've seen it, you're a fan, and if you haven't seen it, you probably think it's disturbing how dumb and how involved people are about it. But it's astounding how good it is. So, some chicken soup. So I've been going through New Girl. I forgot that it's, the first 4 seasons are pretty decent. I'm in season 4 right now with, Damon Wayans Jr. came back. He was in the pilot, and then he left because he ended up being committed to Happy Endings, which they didn't think was going to come back. So they had to replace him, and they replaced him with Winston, who was played by Lamorne Morris. But in season 4, they brought him back for a season and a half, or maybe a season. I don't know, but it's pretty entertaining. When it ran with him in it, I was like, this seems kind of superficial. But now that I'm watching it again, he levels it up, I gotta say. So I like New Girl. It's easy, and it's pretty well written, and it you kind of know what you're gonna get. So it's not edgy by any stretch of the imagination, but it's really fun to watch a bunch of high-level actors working with pretty high-level material in a really safe space, admittedly. But yeah, so New Girl. Also Big Brother started this week, so I've seen episode 1 and episode 2 because they air 3 episodes a week, and Sunday is the 3rd one. So we made our picks, and I picked 2 duds and maybe a stud. But who's to say? Big Brother is such a show, such an unnecessarily reality game show, that the people on it study the show in order to be good at the show. The only people that watch it are the people that want to be on it. It's weird. It's about as complicated as it can get, but it's not a complicated show. But it's entertaining. So, writing tip: compile your ideas. You always, you want to be writing ideas or putting them in your phone or something. Make a point to compile them occasionally, and then when you've compiled them, go through your master list. You should have a master list, and just see what still holds up. I'm surprised that I'd say 75% of everything that makes the initial compiling cut stays in the list. I'm pretty happy about that. Either my standards need to go up, or I'm just a shit hot idea generator. So standards then. But yeah, you know, always be making sure you know what you have. You know, if somebody goes, "Do you have an idea for this?" You don't want to be like, "I don't know, maybe let me check." You should have read it enough times in your notebook that you like, yeah, I have a take on that. That's also just a confidence thing in the pitch. So compile stuff. This is connected to last week's making lists for sure. Because it feels, for me, it feels a lot safer to have a list of options instead of having to come up with something cold, because there's just a whole lot of pressure with something cold, whereas options, you have somewhere to work. You have something to work with. So box office, I got 4 out of 5. Han Solo let me down, man. I said Jurassic World, Incredibles 2, Ocean's 8, Tag, and Solo, and I got everything but Solo because Deadpool beat it. So, and they're freaking. Apparently, the studio's freaking out because I saw a bunch of stuff where they put all the Star Wars spin-offs on hold because of how bad Solo did, and yeah, it's a lot of reactionary stuff. I mean, admittedly, the culture didn't seem to like Solo very much. I thought it was not great, but I didn't think it was an abomination. But yeah, a lot of, I wouldn't call it overreacting because they feel like everything's overreacting, but a lot of extreme reactions, and one of them being they're rethinking whether or not they want to do spin-offs, which I thought Rogue One was a proper spin-off. Han Solo, I don't know. So this, I don't know. It sort of implies my greater understanding of how this works, which is everybody wants a winner at all times, and if you if you take an honest shot and you fail, then you have a loser, and by extension you are a loser, and you should never try again, which is just not how creativity works in any way. You know, in the fantasy production company that I would run, you make 10 things for the price of one, with the expectation that 1, maybe 2 hit and 8 go away, and you just keep doing that, and you write off those 8 or 9 as the cost of doing business, the cost of creativity, because you really don't know what's going to hit. Obviously, Star Wars has a lot of built-ins that imply that it was going to be a hit, but as demonstrated, something or some things came into play that made it not a hit. But that's not to say stop doing it. I'm not trying to justify giant franchises, because I think giant franchises are trouble for their own reasons, but the idea that you have one failure in a line of proven successes, I feel like you're taking the wrong data from that, because you know, like, a creative idea is always a gamble. And movies are known for doing surprisingly well or doing unexpectedly bad. You know, that's part of the game. And so to say, well, pack it in, this didn't work. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. In the broader way of Star Wars as a universe, one dud in the last 10 years is, I mean, statistically, that's better than what it had been for the last 25 years. So, because the prequels, although they sold like crazy, were terrible. Were really, really terrible. So, I don't know. Yeah, but it always makes me distrust not the system, but the players in the system. Every time I see an article that's like, well, this did so bad, we are scuttling the company and we are doing something else. I think you're discrediting everybody creatively who got involved in what you're blaming for the apocalypse. I mean, yeah. There's also a direction where you could also blame yourself as an executive, because you probably forced the creatives to do something that they weren't prepared to do or they weren't expecting to do, and you forced them to do it out of fear. And fear does not make creativity. Yeah. So, except for the Manhattan, I would say the Manhattan Project, the atomic bomb, I guess that made but that was a math and physics thing. I don't know. Anyway, so am I sad to see that they're scuttling their ideas for all the Star Wars spin-offs? I could take it or leave it because it's a franchise. If it was a smaller thing or if it was a TV show, I would say no, give them a chance. Because you never know what incredible stories have an opportunity to be told. Although, in the context of the Star Wars universe as a franchise, $200 million blockbuster every time, you gotta expect once in a while one of them's not gonna take. So, and Deadpool beat that. So, yeah, Deadpool, man. This week's box office, I'm gonna say Jurassic World, Incredibles 2, I'm losing my voice, Uncle Drew, which there is such thing as the black audience. Tyler Perry is an example of that. So Uncle Drew is expected to do pretty well, and I'm sure it will make heinous profit, because seriously, there's certain built-in audiences that will forgive everything as long as you put it in theaters. One of them is the Christian audience, and one of them is the black audience. And I mean, yeah, I'd say on a much lower level horror audience, but horror audience is such a wide net. But yeah, so I think Uncle Drew will do number 3. Sicario, Day of the Soldado, number 4, and Ocean's 8, number 5. And I'm not even confident that Sicario, Day of the Soldado is going to be number 4, if I'm being honest, because I saw the first one, and the first one was outstanding, but it was also an indie film. So it was never meant, I guess it meant, I never believed it to be a blockbuster, and I think this one, they're pushing a little bit more as a blockbuster. But they lost Emily Blunt, which gives me pause because Emily Blunt was sort of the emotional heart of the story. She was the lens through all of this is contextualized, and there's no Emily Blunt this time. It's just the Sicario, who was a badass, awesome character, although kind of hard to track in the context of everything, just because it was so much Emily Blunt's story and not his story until a certain point. So I would say Sicario, Day of the Soldado, also a spin-off, in the same way Solo was a spin-off. My issue with Sicario, Day of the Soldado is I thought Sicario was outstanding for all the reasons, not just the story, but the way it was shot, the way it was acted, all of it, and specifically Emily Blunt. And without Emily Blunt, sure, there's all these elements that probably can come in, cinematography, directing, all that stuff. So, but more so than that, I just don't know what the story is going to be this time. Because last time it was inexperienced DEA agent gets in over her head in the middle of a gang war financed by the American government, encapsulated in the Sicario. And so she's the good guy trying to keep the bad guy in line as they do these missions that get increasingly morally bad. But now you just have the morally bad guy. It just seems like a gang story. I mean, credit where credit's due. Writers wrote this, and the writers in the first one did an outstanding job. So there is a way for Sicario to be a satisfying story about a former Mexican lawyer, or Colombian, whatever he was, turned into a gang, a cartel hitman, who becomes a celebrity hitman, going on his next phase of his hits, and there is a way to make a story around that. It's just a lot of buys, a lot of buying in. I don't know. It's like I just feel like ranting today. It feels like one of those situations where the people with the money took the wrong lessons from the success of the first one. So they saw Benicio del Toro is this scary assassin who doesn't play by the rules and is just brutal. That was the fun part about that movie. Emily Blunt said she's not available. Fine. We already have what we need in this, action figure. A satisfying movie does not make. So I hope I'm wrong. I hope it's goddamn amazing. It reminds me of 300, and then the sequel 300. I don't even know what the sequel was called, but it was the same idea. The first one was a very easy to tell story that was just stacked with awesome actors and awesome visual effects. The second one had the same visual effects but didn't have any of the actors and was a less familiar story, and so it sunk, it bombed. But then when I went to watch it, it's actually a goddamn amazing story. It's incredibly nuanced in how it's told, because it's told approximately the same time as the 300, just in a different location with a different group of warriors that were irrevocably connected to the 300. Like, it was goddamn amazing, but the buy was so complex. You would have to, in the trailer, be like, listen, we know you saw 300 and that was awesome. Here's what everybody else was doing while that was happening. They should have done that instead of just, here's 300 again, and then you're like, well, I know how 300 ends, so why would I need to see it again? Like, the people making the trailer didn't get that you have to explain how it's different and why that's awesome. And I think, oh man, I'm so long-winded. I think Sicario did that. I think Sicario did so unexpectedly well that they didn't have time to properly, be like, this is why it was great, and that is how we're gonna pitch the sequel. I don't know. So I'm just shitting on movies today, I guess. Recommend. So I thought of this movie 10 seconds after I turned off my camera last time. Little tiny independent film. I think it's Irish. It might be British, but it's called Tonight You're Mine. And I first saw it during the Mumblecore era, but it's about two unlucky kids in love that meet at a music festival and get handcuffed together. And over the course of one night, and they're both band musicians that are playing the stages. And over the course of the night, they fall in love, and it's very sweet. But it's fascinating how they shot it, and you can kind of tell. Like, if you didn't know how they shot it going in, you'd just be like, wow, this is real in a very strange way. But what happened was they just happened to bring cameras and actors to a music festival, I believe in Ireland, and shot this thing guerrilla style during the music festival, and it's really great. A few movies have properly carried me on the emotional journey as efficiently as Tonight You're Mine. Yeah, so if you can find it, go see it. It's fascinating, and the music is great, because it's not just actors, it's bands and musicians, and the actors are in their own right pretty goddamn amazing musicians. So There's a lot of it. There's a lot going on in it. Fascinating. The whole thing is fascinating. They should teach a class on how Tonight Your Mind got made, because it just doesn't follow any of the functions of how to make a movie. But then at the end, having seen it, it's one of the most satisfying movies I've ever experienced, in a traditional narrative sense. So, 20 minutes. Yeah. So, all right, bye.